the file. And here you have a whole lot of options. You can either start a brand new project, you can open an existing project, save, delete, and so forth, generate reports. But in order to, what I would ask you to do, and it is in fact chapter 4 of the user's manual, which has an example application. So my suggestion to you is that you go through that example step by step, because that's how it's presented, and you'll very quickly learn how to manipulate the screens. But I already have a project, a class example, so I've already opened it, actually, so cancel. So I opened it, and here it is, class example. Now this terminology. First of all, there is a name for the project, and you'll see when you for every problem that you do, there are a series of file names with different endings. PRJ is the project name file. P01 is called the plan. The G is the geometry. The F is the flow data, and the H is the hydraulic design data. So you get this big group of files that go with just one problem. Now the plan is useful because what you can do is, in the same project, you can choose a set of geometry and steady flow and flow files to try different options. So the plan is really an option. And you can have a number of different options. The geometry, of course, includes the geometric data and the steady flow, the flow data. Anyway, so the first sub-menu you want is the edit. And here are the first, for us for now, the first two choices are the main ones. So we want geometric data, and this is the screen that opens. Now I've already sketched it, but you see this blue line here. The very first thing you do is click on River Reach, and then you sketch, using the mouse, you sketch this blue line. What it looks like is immaterial. It's just a graphical aid, unless you're using GIS, of course. But so you can make it just a straight line, or you can put curves in it, however you'd like to do that. Now, what you see here are the cross sections, and those won't appear. Those cross sections won't appear until you enter the geometric data for them. And then you see these little red dots, and those are the bank stations. The left and the right bank shows the flow in this direction. So when you're sketching this blue line in with your mouse, you start at the upper part of the screen and move to the lower part of the screen. And then you start entering cross sections up here. I'll do that. I hate that. Display. Okay. Never mind. You can highlight particular nodes. Here you enter junctions, but now let's go to cross section. And this is going to throw you the first time you do it. To actually enter the cross, I've already got it entered, but to enter it, you go to options. See that? And add a new cross section. You can also copy the current cross section downstream. I'll come back to that. You can delete cross sections, you can adjust elevations, but let's just let's first just see what, this is just like a spreadsheet now, it works just like a spreadsheet.
Did you have to add that column for end value?
Yeah, that's what I was just about to do. So under options, right there, you see that check mark? So you have to put in that check mark. Otherwise, it uses the end values that are right here. So the reason it says not applicable there, there, and there is because I have entered these values. Now, where do you enter them at the point where they start to be effective. So the first one is at the left-hand boundary, and it extends, so the Manning's end value stays constant until you enter another value. And so that here you can see it plotted. So 0.06 is the first value up to the left bank. There's the left bank. Those red dots are always left and right bank. And so that's station, by the way, you see right there, the 0.03 is where I changed it. That's at 222.5, and that's the left bank station. 22.5. So for the left floodplain, I left it homogeneous, Manning's end the same across the whole floodplain. The same thing with the main channel, and this is usually the case. You wouldn't usually enter more than one end value for the main channel. So it's 0.03, and so it extends to the right bank at 272.5, right there. And there's my right bank station, 272.5. Okay. So, by the way, you have to choose where the left and the right banks are. So the first thing you do is put in these, the station and the elevation, and start from the left to right. So you start with this point, that's station 110. You see here it's plotted as 110. And the elevation is 89, almost 90. And then you enter them, boop, 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 boop. Speaking of boop, boop, boop. So when I was in Lausanne, let's say my wife doesn't pack light. So we get to Lausanne on the train, and I've got all these suitcases, and I'm trying to handle them by myself. There are no porters, and one of the station workers took pity on us, and he said, "Monsieur, let me help you with your bags. I'll show you where to go." And he did. He helped us all the way to the opposite side of the station. And then he said, "Monsieur, you have 3 heavy bags and only 1 wife." He also told me that from some parts of the world, it's standard to have 4 suitcases. From Asia especially, when couples come, there are always 4 suitcases. I felt good that we had only 3.
Anyone confirm what a 4 suitcases
He was just generalizing, don't pay attention to that. Okay, side story. Poof. What he said was, "Poof, sure." That's poof, sure. Okay, what else about that? Oh yeah, here are the downstream reach links now. You see how they're all the same? 400, 400, 400. So if it's a straight reach, no curves, 400, they're all the same. And then up here, the reach has a name. And here's the river station, 1900. Now this is the way I do it. You don't have to do it this way. But I consider that to be 1900 feet. But you could call it station 19 if you wanted to, or even station 1.9, because the program uses these distances right here. But it just helps me to keep track. Notice, remember we talked about the hecras default values for minor loss coefficients, 0.1, 0.3, but you can change them for every cross-section.
So those reach lengths would be different for left of bank and right of bank, just it goes around a curve or something?
Yes. Okay, let's go, so now, let's go downstream to the next section. Actually, the uppermost section is 2,000. I didn't start at the top. So there's 2,000. You can use these arrows to move downstream. There's one. There's at River Station 1,900, 1,500. Until you get to the last station, which is 0. And at the last station, the reason the program knows that's the last station is that these lengths are go to 0 then. There are no reaches downstream of there. Okay, now let's go back to options. Yeah, let me do this. Let's see. Let's go upstream. Okay, so all right. So I'm going to do this on the fly now. If I mess up, tell me. So here I am at River Station 1000, and I want to put in another cross section. You can interpolate it by hand if you want. If it's only one cross section. So under options, we're going to add a new cross section. And the new River Station, I'm going to call it 750 because it's between. I'm going to put it halfway between 1,000 and 500. Okay. And the description is interpolated cross section. I have a new laptop that I changed my password on my mainframe, the Georgia Tech password. So I've got my laptop at home and I can't even get into it because I changed the password. But anyway, this is my old one. So here is interp. And what I'm going to do, options, is copy the current cross section at River Station 500. Okay. What? No, that's the wrong way. Enter station 750. Options. Copy current cross section. Enter a new River Station, I'm sorry, okay. So 750. It's hard understanding it. Okay, let's delete this cross section and start over. Okay, so now I'm back to 1,000. Okay.
Maybe you have to click copy from here.
Yeah,
And just create a
so
new
copy
folder.
current cross section, River Station 750. Okay. Yeah, there it is. And now what I want to do, so this is the same now as the previous station, right? 1,000. Yeah, see here 119.6, 79.3.